As the Iran deal becomes a reality, Washington's neoconservatives and their allies are bristling. A sanctioned and isolated Iran had long been one of their policy pillars. This is no longer the case. Is this a temporary reversal or a stunning defeat?
Chuck Prince famously said, before Citibank blew up in 2008, as long as the music keeps going, I'll keep dancing. Well, okay, the music is playing, but we hear now that in the top end of the London property market, there's indications that maybe we're at that point in history and financial history where you have a bear market. This is what happens. And so all the collateral value that these properties represent are diminished, and you have a cascading effect and a compounding effect and a chain reaction.
Quarter past the hour here in Moscow. Thanks for joining us. Straight to Puerto Rico now, where people have been taking to the streets against tough economic conditions and harsh cuts. The island's economic struggles have quickly landed Puerto Rico the nickname the Greece of the Caribbean. And it's little surprise. Austerity measures have been implemented there in an attempt by the government to pay off its $73 billion debt. And people are demanding the country re-examine its relationship with its main creditor, that of America. And we did speak to some of the demonstrators.
We're here to express our complete rejection of the attempt to impose further neoliberal and austerity measures on the people of Puerto Rico in order to pay for a debt that is not our fault, that we are not responsible for, that is the product of years and years of corruption, and that is the product of a mismanagement by governments.
The comparison of Puerto Rico and Greece is obvious. The tools chosen to save the country, as they say, are similar: destroy the people and save the commerce.
And speaking of Greece, the country has submitted an official request to the International Monetary Fund for what? A new loan. RT's Peter Oliver now investigating what it would mean for the country's social services, in particular that of the embattled health service.
After 5 years of bitter austerity and with Greece facing up to its stiffest reform plan yet in order to receive its third bailout, one service that's been particularly hard hit when it comes to budgets has been the health service. And that's why I've come here to the main hospital on Samos to find out how they're coping.
Over the last 3 years, we've seen our budget decrease by €1 million each year, down from 8 to 5. We've also seen our personnel cut by around 40 to 45%. Many took early retirement, mostly in administrative and nursing roles. But we've been able to provide a service to the people who rely on us. For sure, our budgets have been drained, but a crisis also leads people to become more creative.
Samos is home to roughly 40,000 people, and the hospital looks after not only them, but also around another 10,000 from smaller nearby islands, as well as all the tourists that form the lifeblood of the local economy. But there is only so much creativity you can achieve when dealing with such depleted resources. To find out a little bit what conditions inside the hospital are like, I'm off to go and meet an expat who's just recently been a patient.
It was evident that they had had severe budget cuts. I don't know that it detracts at all from the quality of medicine and the quality of professionalism amongst the doctors. Certainly it's shown in the level of nursing and the general hygiene, the state of repair of the wards, and the service generally that's passed on to the patients. Yeah.
Public sector spending is a big target for further decreases as Greece's 3 main lenders run through the requirements for more loans. The health service may be forced to try and do even more on even less. From Samos in Greece, I'm Peter Oliver for RT.
All right, some other global headlines in brief. Turkey has become an active part of the US-led air campaign against Islamic State's positions in Syria. Officials claim Ankara carried out 3 airstrikes along the Turkish-Syrian border. Just a few hours later, another round of bombings pounded military sites controlled by Turkey's Kurdistan Workers' Party in neighboring Iraq. The organization has long been fighting for autonomy. It's actually, though, called a terror group by Turkey. A series of explosions at a fireworks factory in eastern Italy has killed at least 7 people. The first blast occurred in a van and then triggered several other explosions. In May, an explosion at another fireworks factory near Naples claimed the lives of 3 people. And in Brazil, hundreds of taxi drivers have blocked the streets of Rio de Janeiro to protest against the Uber app. The drivers are demanding the service is banned, claiming it's not regulated properly and enjoys lower costs. Similar protests in Brasilia and Sao Paulo have led to bans on Uber by the local authorities. Now, 3D printing may sound like science fiction to many, but it's a growing trend in America. And it's spread enough to cause concern to the makers of the latest Star Wars saga, due out in December.
My father has it. I have it. My sister has it. You have that power too.
Well, you can create basically any item you see on the big screen at home. That's if you have a 3D printer, of course. One American did exactly that after watching the trailer. He created an exact replica of a stormtrooper's gun, briefly shown in the trailer. He then started selling the design blueprints to other fans online. And all of this months before the official souvenirs are due to be released. Well, it's far from the only example of 3D printers replicating movie paraphernalia. The trade in design blueprints is burgeoning online. For example, there's a website now where enthusiasts can actually share their files. There's a range of items from Star Wars helmets and guns and models, as well as other movie characters as well. 3D printing expert Hugo Riveros, we spoke to him. He actually says all of this is a positive trend.
Those people have a great talent, great skill to be able to look at something and then recreate it 3-dimensionally just by looking at a few details. So I think those creators are not trying to break the law or infringe copyright. There's a guy that in America that's got a 3D printer, and he's a mechanical engineer. He designed a prosthetic arm, and he designed it so well that it's a fraction of the cost that it would cost to get one from the hospital. That arm would cost to produce maybe $30. So instead of him making money, what he's done, he has donated that design, and he has sent a 3D printer to Africa where people can print their own prosthetics. And I think that's a wonderful thing that people are doing.
Well, media corporations are worried the trend may affect sales. There are also concerns about 3D replicas violating copyright laws. There have been no lawsuits in America yet, but copyright lawyer Larry Zerner says prosecuting those involved in 3D printing will not be easy.
They don't seem to be really suing people yet for that, but that's because it's still kind of a niche. It hasn't really hit the mainstream yet. I think mostly what we're going to be talking about in 3D printing is printing figurines, little Iron Man and Captain America doll, and that's clearly going to be a copyright infringement. It's going to be much less on the practical things. Under U.S. copyright law, items that are useful are not copyrightable. So there was a case out of England a few years ago where they said stormtrooper helmets were not copyrightable because they were useful as helmets. So there is some line that protects the person who's creating the 3D printing.
On our website for you this hour, Google and NASA have come up with an initiative to create an air traffic control system. It follows a number of close calls involving drones and passenger jets. The new system will be used to create rules for the aerial roadways. Details on this right now at RT.com. And while you're there, check out the video filmed by Russian sailors of a giant squid attempting to steal a fisherman's catch. The video featuring a really big creature is just there off the side of the boat. You can see much better video at RT.com. Getting through passport control at an airport can be nervous and exhausting. France's Charles de Gaulle Airport decided to, try and sweeten the pill. The management ordered security officers to hand out these sweets to passengers. The police, though, got really angry. They said their job is too important, they shouldn't be distracted. And we did ask for comments from the airport's press office.
Après, vous n'êtes absolument If you are an employee of the airport, this doesn't mean that you're obliged to distribute sweets. On the contrary, the sweets are everywhere, even without distribution, including the booth at arrivals. Also, this initiative was criticized by just one labor union, moreover, only by one single person belonging to this labor union.
Well, RT obtained the official document given to the airport's workers. And let's have a look at the language for a moment here. The statement demanded that every employee join the initiative, apparently to improve the airport's image. Also, officers were banned from actually enjoying the sweets themselves because, of course, they're meant for the passengers. And journalist Guillaume Billet explained what's behind the negative reaction coming from the police.
The policemen explained that distribution of sweets to the children of arriving passengers is not their job. Their job is to check passports, which is a very serious matter. It requires concentration. The number of people who arrive at the airport every day is enormous. They are not at the airport for making clowns of themselves and giving out sweets. They think that this is reducing their credibility, and people won't take them seriously. They believe that if the airport wants to improve its services, then the employees of the airport should be obliged to give out sweets, but not the policemen.
Up next here on RT International, there's a warning coming from Max Kaiser. There's a huge property bubble in effect, and it is poised to pop. The Kaiser Report coming your way.